Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Untethered. I'm Roger. I'll be your host for the night, and tonight with me is my co-host, I guess, since we've been doing this from the get-go. That would be Mark Edworthy, Mr. Mark
Indeed.
Edworthy from the good land of England, across the pond, as everybody says.
Yeah,
Today, yeah,
I like how you pronounced England.
yes. Now,
Very American, very US taint on it.
the before we get started, I do have to say something to you though, because John Galt freaking wanted me to apologize for soiling your name.
Yeah, you mentioned this on Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever. I still don't get it.
Well, I went on there and I was telling him how Nancy was using you as man meat, and he says that he wants a public apology for soiling your name because you are a man who has a background and you are a respected person of the community. So I went on
Okay.
Nancy's show the other day and I told him that freaking that I apologize for soiling you in public. So that I wanted to say it the right way today on this show. But don't worry about that.
Okay.
We did the apology, John Galt. We did it. But guess what? His head will eventually explode. It will explode.
Maybe.
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 Just so people understand, how much shit have I freaking made you go through with the shows that you come on with me?
Too much.
I know that it all
Yeah.
started out with the Shakespeare conspiracies. I talked about Shakespeare not being real. Remember?
Mm,
And from there,
yeah.
you've gone into talking with me about what Moloch ball. You've talked to me about
Mm.
uh, ghosts, freaking UFOs, conspiracy theories. Then you've even gone on Naroki's show with me where freaking, and that was the red pill, bunch of hanging out with a bunch of red pillars. I know that had to have been interesting for you, like
Uh,
cause
it's all educational.
educational. I'm surprised, man. To be honest, you've actually stuck all that stuff out. Well, to be fair though, you're the one that actually introduced me to Jaffe, so
Okay. Yeah.
I should really be resentful of that. He just, oh my god, dude, he is crazy.
Yeah.
So after this show, I'm going to be simulcasting for him once I get this one done later on tonight. He's going to have his show on after this, and then when I am done with this one, we are going to have the political edition for this next week, and we're going to be bringing Untethered to an end for the year. And Mr. Robot was wondering what I was going to do next, and it kind of brings me into a dilemma because me and you usually do Roger's real time talk show, and that one's more serious. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
I was thinking that what I need to do is also do live with Roger Hansen because I need to get that done too.
Sorry, live with what's the difference?
Roger's real time talk show is about political history, whereas live with Roger Hansen is just live with Roger Hansen.
Talking about.
Well, kind of like here, but usually I do it on my own. And
Okay.
and with that one, I can open it up to where people come in with me and stuff. But I really get annoyed with having other people with me because they just get pissed off and freaking start calling me horrible names. You know what I mean?
Have I?
Well, you're the only one that doesn't. I think you're the only one crazy enough to hang out with me, to be honest.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder about that one. Yeah.
You know, like, Dan got bored with me and said he didn't want nothing to do with me, and I'm a big fat loser. I'm
I
like,
don't think he actually said that.
well, I mean, he probably did.
But I don't think he actually did.
You want to bet? We'll go and ask him in chat later on, see what he says.
Okay.
Okay, so today, today's talking points, or I usually try to say that it's the theme for the show is current events. Now, next week we're going to have
Okay.
politics.
I was going to say this is your list and it's a bit all over the place.
No, this
Um,
current events is actually a category. Okay, it's like when you got current events and then you have politics, then you have freaking entertainment.
is it, again, can't entertainment and politics be current events
No.
if they're happening currently?
Well, then you have to pick.
They are events that are current.
You
Therefore,
usually if there is a political a politician involved or any kind of politics involving the White House or freaking the what are you guys the Parliament or something like that, that's politics. Okay.
okay.
The moment it's mentioned, you just put it right over there in the politics section. Now, like if it's something that's current events, it can be freaking landslides in freaking South America, or it could be, you know,
Current events could mean anything.
yeah, things that are happening
So,
right now that doesn't include politics. Well, kind of.
ooh, yeah, I was just looking at your your list there.
Because
Hmm.
courts have been a big deal in current events as well as freaking well the oil thing that's really close to it too.
All
Which
of this could one way or another be considered as politics. You've got five subjects there.
well, don't worry about all that. You just focus on current events and don't worry about it. And hope
Again, I don't do celebrity culture, so
that's
if you ask me,
entertainment. That's
okay.
entertainment.
But even if it is current events,
Well, current events is well. You don't want to talk about P Diddy.
I've got no interest.
You have no interest in P Diddy.
I've
Oh,
got no interest
so why don't you have any interest in P Diddy?
because I don't do celebrity culture, and I don't make conclusions on cases that are ongoing.
See,
And this goes back to the American, the US sort of um, rumor mill sort of thing
that's
that you Americans love to play on all the
no,
time.
that's you guys. You and the Italians. You guys are the ones who came up with the paparazzi in the first place. I mean,
Yeah, but
paparazzi is an Italian name, dude.
yeah, but I'm not somebody that reads Vogue or
I know,
Hello
I know.
magazine.
But you got to admit, paparazzi is actually a freaking. It's native to Italy, right?
Like, that's where the name came from.
All right. But you know what I mean? It's like they don't call it freaking entertainment tonight. You know what I mean? It's the paparazzi.
This could well be US, New York, Italian immigrants.
Well, Americans would never name it such a stupid name. Like we would come up with something that was actually cool. You know what I mean? It would Especially
Uh,
considering that the name started back in what, the 80s?
I thought it was earlier. I thought it goes back to something like the 20s.
Oh God, no. I swear to
I
God,
think
there's no way.
you could have to do the etymology on that, but I think it does.
It might have happened in England, but like around
No,
here,
in the US,
paparazzi. It could have been like maybe back when television first started. You know what I mean?
maybe.
Back when it got
What,
popular.
in the 30s?
I doubt that it's that old though, because like back in those days, you come creeping around on somebody, dude, you're gonna get shot. Hey, you know what I mean? People carried freaking Tommy guns back then.
Indeed.
So, just a thought. So on the first topic that I wanted to bring up as a was about freaking Brent crude oil, and according to Mr. Robot, he says that Brent crude oil is at 73.11 USD per barrel, and that's reflecting a decrease of 2.75%. Now, meanwhile, the
Since,
huh?
since
It doesn't say specifically.
okay.
Meanwhile, the West Texas Intermediate, the WTI crude oil price stands at 72.6 USD per barrel, showing a decline of 1.53%. These prices highlight the current state of the global crude oil market, with both benchmarks experiencing downward pressure on the day. Now, it is worth noting that over the past month, the price of crude oil has seen an increase of 15.65%, yet it remains 9.85% lower compared to the same time last year. Global commodity prices, particularly oil, would experience a dramatic surge if Iran were to close the Strait of Hormuz. Uh,
Yeah, I was listening to something earlier about what's happening in Iran at the moment, and that actually was pointed out in that.
Now, this critical maritime choke point facilitates the transport of nearly 20% to 30% of the world's crude oil and refined products. And any disruption would send shockwaves through global energy markets. With
Actually, I disagree. I disagree. I'm looking at a chart at this present moment, a 1 day, 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year chart on Brent crude oil, and the price at the present moment looks about what's the average has been since 2002. In 2001, it spiked triple this. Yeah, it does. It doesn't look that high from a long-term perspective.
from what I've been seeing on these charts too, though, is it's actually declined from what was it, 2024. It came up right in
Okay,
January
yeah,
of 225.
yeah, but it's just jumped within the last. Hang on, is it a day?
Yeah.
Within last, within the last day, back to its sort of highest peak for this year, which is again 77, 46 US dollars.
Now,
So it doesn't look overly high. It
it,
looks like it's averaging out, settling on that number.
it, from what I'm seeing, like it's actually gone. It on June or January the 15th, right there. It was it was higher than what it is now at on June the 20th.
Yeah, but you've got to look at it from a. You should ignore it from a sort of month to month sort of point and look at it over a year, 2 years, 5 years.
Yeah, I do that with just I do
Again,
even with stocks. Even I do
like
that.
any market,
Hmm.
the sort of short-term review is meaningless.
Well,
Prices come up and go down all
when
the time.
when you look at the chart though, like when you got the chart right in front of you and you see the volatility, the waves up and down, like they actually went
Yeah,
into a good period where the prices were low. Like during May, they were at their lowest. May the 5th, they were at their lowest, but of course they're going to come back up. This isn't even the highest that it's been. Like it's high right now, don't get me wrong. It's at 77.270, but all the
mm.
way back in January the 15th, it was higher than this. It was,
I just added a URL to the chat here with the chart I'm looking at.
there we go. Get back on there. I went onto the site and everything. Now I gotta get all sophisticated and pull charts and stuff.
I'll do that.
Okay, here we go. Put that on the screen that way everybody can see it. All right, so move your head. I've got a picture in picture screen, so
Okay, so I can see what you're looking at, but
okay. So yeah,
I'll put you in
it looks like we're basically looking at the same thing. Yours is a lot more precise though. Let
It
me
seems, I don't know the source that you were looking at.
let me go ahead and put.
But yeah, if you look at it on the sort of 3 month ratio, it doesn't. It looks like it's really increased in the last couple of days. But if you look at it, let's say on a 3 year ratio or even 1 year ratio, it doesn't look as dramatic.
Yeah, there we go. Now that actually is a lot better than the one that I had. Um, I I had this one. I can show that one, but yours brings out the thing. But the 1 year up here, like right at the beginning of
Hmm.
the year, you see what I mean? That was actually higher than what it is now. So the one that I was looking at is let me make sure I have the right one. Yeah, this is the one that I was looking at right here.
What company?
Trading economy. This is for Brent crude oil,
Oh,
and
okay.
like right in this area.
What's that? That's only a. How long is that data?
This is the one
That's
year.
um, a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one
Oh,
year.
no, that's year to date.
Right. And if you
Yeah.
come back here, even like right here, it was even higher. This is 8.7 point point 87, point 46, 426. Then right here,
USD.
yeah, it's
Oh,
not
sorry.
it's not bad at all. In my opinion, it isn't at least. So this is what Mr. Robot posted was this critical maritime checkpoint facilitates the transport of nearly 20 to 30% of the world's crude oil and refined products, and any disruption would send shockwaves through global energy markets, with Brent crude oil potentially soaring to $120 to $150 per barrel, or
So
even
that would increase OPEC. Would that be a major issue as far as US internal sales are concerned?
Um,
I'm
well,
not sure.
the thing is, I mean, the oil prices here in the United States, if they
Yeah,
went,
but
it,
you produce your own, don't you? So
well, not
if
yet, not
necessary, then
yeah, not yet, but I have a feeling that's going to be happening soon. So, like,
or Texas, Arizona, they are big
they've been designated,
producer.
designated reserve oil.
Okay,
So they go into
and okay, yeah.
the, everything from here within the United States. At least from the last time I remember, it was all uh, considered reserve oil. They don't put it out,
Not so sure now.
but
I believe it is since Biden, probably since Obama's time. It's been floated up on sort of the internal open market.
yeah. Now, analytics predict that a 2 week closure could push crude oil prices to $150 per barrel, while more prolonged disruptions might elevate prices beyond $200 per barrel, triggering a global energy crisis. A sustained closure would likely plague the global economy into crisis, with particular strain on major oil importers like China, India, and Japan, which rely heavily on Gulf oil shipments. I'm surprised.
Okay, according to this chart, back in let's say October, November, December 2021 to um, first 2 quarters of 2022, prices were roughly around 120 USD.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, now 120 to 150 is a big deal though. Like that's a big
Mm.
price hike. You know what I mean? $200 a barrel. But I believe it's been higher than that in the past. So
Okay, yeah. I've only got data that goes back to 2015.
uh,
Can that use? Oh, yeah.
I mean, if it gets I think it's up to like $400 a barrel. That's when we'll have
Okay.
issues like we had back in the 1980s. You know what I mean? When people were lining up at gas stations just so they could freaking get gas. Uh, that was when what was it? What do they call that alliance over there in the Middle East now that does oil?
OPEC.
OPEC, yeah. That was when they
Yeah.
decided to refuse services to the United States. And we had,
Even though the US is an OPEC member.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it is OPEC now that you said that, because
Um,
this was the Arab oil company, the conglomerate is what I'm thinking it was. Because OPEC is, you're right. OPEC has their fingers in Brazil and all that too, down in
hmm.
it's so yeah. Now, even the threat of closure has already caused significant market volatility, with crude futures jumping up to 13% following recent escalations between Israel and Iran. Now, this is why Mr. Robot even brought this up, because he wants to talk about the war.
Yeah,
I
and when I saw that message earlier, I thought, I bet me and him are going to disagree on a lot of things.
mm, I can almost bet that's the reason why
Um,
he even wanted to
Yeah,
talk about it. And then,
even though I didn't, even though I didn't go into my thoughts on on Wednesday's show. Oh, who was it? DK.
mhm.
That was constantly talking. He put over viewpoints that I completely and utterly disagreed with in relation to the subject.
Now, according to his limited alternatives, it says although some oil could be rerouted via overland pipelines, the capacity is minimal compared to the volume typically moving through Hormuz, leaving few viable alternatives. And see, right there is where I disagree because I mean it's common knowledge now, but I remember back in like 2015, 2014, everybody talking about the pipeline that comes down from Kiev down into the
Yeah.
frickin' Black Sea, I believe it is. I mean, it's been general knowledge. That's where it is, where most of all that comes from, and no matter what, people are just gonna have to deal with freaking Russia when it
But
comes to
I
oil.
don't see it's going to be a major problem anyway. Iran's on the IRGC's on its final sort of breath. Is the Islamic Republic of Iran will fall soon,
Well,
potentially even within the next week.
with
But at some point,
with this oil thing though, I mean, it's like I don't really see it as being a severe issue. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I
But yeah, if the IRGC fails, um, um, no, then the war's over, and therefore, where's the problem?
I mean, for me personally, from my point of view on the way all this looks and what we've been discussing, I don't see really um, any serious
Yeah, I
issues
don't see any major issues.
at all. Like I
Not
mean,
me.
that, to me to me wherever he got this information from is just somebody that's hyping it up because like right here, it goes back to 2018. I mean, it was the prices for freaking Brent crude oil was high even in 2018.
Mm, mm.
You know, right around the
It
same.
has, it has in effect. I just picked up another data point just now, and it has been in effect since 2005.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so I mean,
six.
I don't really see it as anything that's out of the ordinary. There, like, just a bunch of hype drama, to stir some shit up.
Yeah,
To be honest with
yeah.
you.
Like I said, markets come go up and down all the time. Unless you're going to have a look at it from a long-term perspective, then you're just panicking for no reason.
Okay, so now let's get on to the next one. This next one is actually pretty cool, and I think you'll like this one. To be honest with you,
Oh,
I'm gonna world's first brain implant, dude. You hear about this one?
no.
Brain implant lets man speak with expression and sing, dude. I'll read it.
Uh,
Okay, a man with a severe speech disability is able to speak extensively and sing using a brain implant that translates his neural activities into words almost instantaneously. The device conveys changes of intonation when he speaks, when he asks questions, emphasizes the words of his choice, and allows him to hum a string of notes in three pitches. Now, the system known as a brain computer interface, BCI, used artificial intelligence, AI, to decode the participant's electrical brain activity as he attempted to speak. The device is The device is the first to reproduce not only a person's intended words, but also features of natural speech, such as uh, intonation, pitch, and emphasis, which help to express meaning and emotion. Now, in a study, a synthetic voice that mimicked the participant's own spoke his words within 10 milliseconds of the natural activity that signaled his intention to speak. The system described today in Nature marks a significant improvement over earlier BCI models, which streamed speech within 3 seconds, or produced it only after users finished mimicking an entire sentence. This is the holy grail of speech, BCI, says Christian Herf, a computational neuroscientist at Maastricht University, the Netherlands, who
Mm.
was not involved in the study. This is now real, spontaneous, continuous speech. So, what do you got to say about that? Because I know you.
I just as a first thing, what was the patient actually suffering from?
Now, up above, whenever I was reading, it said that he suffered from a severe speech disability.
Yeah, but it didn't actually specify what. So that could be a number of different things, couldn't it?
Now, apparently, it says it was able to make him speak expressively using an implant that translated his neural activities. Now, this is the stuff that freaking I've been talking with you about. Okay, and we've been for me, I think that that's pretty interesting that they can actually now put implants into the brain and they can actually interpret words that are freaking coming out of your brain so that you can speak it.
Which country was this person from?
In the
Which country was
Netherlands.
it?
In the
Okay,
Netherlands.
so yeah,
Yeah, it's from
what is the? I would like to see what the regulatory, um, the Netherlands regulatory boards have to say about that one.
okay, hold up. Here it goes. Uh, the study participant, a 45-year-old man, lost his ability to speak clearly after developing amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a form of motor neuron disease, which damages the nerves that control muscle movements, including those needed to speak. Although he could still make sounds and mouth words, his speech was slow and unclear. 5 years after his symptoms began, the participant underwent surgery to insert 256 silicon electrodes, each 1.5 millimeters long, in a brain region that controls movement. Study co-author Metayi Worker, a neuroscientist at the University of California, David and her colleagues trained deep learning algorithms to capture the signals in his brain over 10 milliseconds. Their system decodes in real time the sounds the man attempts to produce rather than his intended words or the constituent phonemes. It's interesting stuff, man.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, again, this isn't going to go on the market anytime soon. And I mean, these sort of the devices take forever. Well, generally speaking, take forever to actually be regulated and prepared for consumer usage.
Now, for me, I mean, I find the technology more interesting than the actual product. You know what I'm saying? Like, the other day we were talking with Vicky on Nancy's show, and RPAD was involved in doing research where they were
Yeah,
actually able to use chemical plumes to detect where dead bodies were. You know what I mean?
yeah. Remember,
And I mean,
did see that TED documentary as well.
that right there just blows me out of the water. The technology has gotten that precise. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, but technology can be as precise as you want it to be. But if it's not going to go through, if it's not a a medical device like this, it's not going to go through regulatory sort of standards extremely quickly. You, as the potential recipient, may have to wait years.
I mean, I understand that, but still, the technology is amazing. And the fact that we can actually do this stuff is what's really the most amazing part about it. Um, Most of the stuff that you see here is going to be even far more advanced by the time it does get released to the public. To be honest, like
I don't know. Again, I'm not sure about that one. I
uh,
can think of a lot of technologies that didn't advance that much because cost and scalability.
this is going to be big. They're already pushing the AI. It's everywhere. You know what I mean?
Eesh.
It's everywhere.
No,
It,
pattern recognition. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, these medical treatments, let's call them, uh, it may be pierced a lot quicker in the US, but in more, I don't know, let's call them civilized countries, it takes a lot longer for these things to happen.
kind of like your guys' health services, isn't that what do they call
Yeah,
that?
technically,
That
a
is
invention like
civilized.
that would take at least 5 years to get through regulatory, potentially even longer.
And you also have to realize too, this is coming out of freaking Switzerland and shit. This is well, they
Yeah, Switzerland. Isn't that the same country that introduced or was one of the first countries that introduced um the lawful suicide?
that might have been them, but I also remember that happening in Portland, Oregon too, with that one.
Yeah. But I think Switzerland was the first country,
Mhm.
which is interesting because the US, this UK bill that's being reviewed by the House of Lords at the moment in relation to allowing legalize suicides.
Well, I mean, you see, the thing is though, is like this is only one thing. They've also got like gadgets, just little toys for freaking people to play on. They're called the hoverboards, where you stand on them. You don't even have to freaking move your legs or nothing. Your brain, you just tell it to move and it moves just by thinking. You know that, right?
Again, are those products easily available?
I've never really checked into
Mm,
if they're available or how easily they're available. I'm pretty sure they're going to be expensive, though. I know that much, but
yeah, cost maybe, but
I've heard of a few people almost breaking their neck
it's
too.
it's it's early days, so these the regulations and public releases are still some time off, I think.
Okay. So, let me see here. We have another interesting interesting topic that I wanted to bring to
Uh,
your attention that is very interesting. Now, this one is Amazon tells thousands of employees to relocate or resign. Have you heard about this?
I heard rumors. Oh, I've heard sort of headlines, but not done any research in this. But this is a part of a wider sort of thing. But yeah, carry on.
Okay, so Amazon is giving some employees a choice relocate or resign. Now, Bloomberg reports that Amazon is ordering thousands of workers on several U.S. teams to move to main hubs in Seattle, Washington, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Amazon has 1.56 million full-time and part-time employees spread across the globe. Its global business, including 350,000 corporate workers. The effort to get some employees to relocate has been taking place for more than a year now, as some teams have been working to bring. I gotta keep this thing keeps doing those advertisements.
Uh-huh.
Uh, um, the effort to get employees to relocate,
Um, on
huh?
on average, where are they relocating from?
All over the country. They're saying
Okay.
you either relocate to these areas or you resign. Like the effort to get some employees to relocate has been taking place for more than a year now, as some teams have been working to bring their teammates closer together to help them as effective as possible. An Amazon spokesman told Bloomberg, which I kind of figured that was a load of shit when I was listening, reading it right there. You know what I mean? That's like public relations shit.
Yeah.
Now, one Amazon employee shared in the company's internal messaging platform a message viewed by Bloomberg that their manager gave them 30 days to decide whether to relocate or resign. Uh, they had 60 days after that to begin the relocation process or to leave the company. Now, if
What is Amazon's average relocation package?
I do not know. They right here, what I found out from this is this um, was given to them by one of the companies. Uh, Bloomberg, I guess, was given this information by one of the people who work for the company, and that's how they found out. Um,
Aye.
I haven't seen anything on how what their package is or nothing like that. And I don't really care to see anything about their package either. So
It could be of some interest.
Hi guys, what about
hey,
this?
No,
not much. We're talking about Amazon.
no.
They
I
well,
think it's just related to them actually just wanting to centralize better, to manage employees better. So it makes
no.
sense for them to shut down a lot of the smaller
See,
offices.
this is America. That we're free here. We're not like over in England. Okay,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
but
do stuff like that.
Amazon is also free to decide to move to remove or move officers.
I think there's
Free
some.
to do as we tell you.
I have a
Huh?
feeling. I have a feeling this is to either get with the program or get out. That's what it's about.
Amazon
Maybe,
runs
yeah,
an
maybe. A
infrastructure
lot of
for like
companies
intelligence
are
community.
removing staff at the moment, both in the US and UK and other countries. So maybe it's a way of them actually just moving the staff numbers or decreasing the staff numbers. I mean, as a point, um, if you are somebody that's almost going to retire in the next couple of years, and
Yeah,
the
that's
company has
dirty dog
decided to give you an
bastards.
early retirement package.
They call that a dirty dog bastard. That's what TJ Maxx was notorious for.
Yeah.
They would have freaking elderly that were like maybe 6 months freaking away from retiring, telling them freaking that they had to show up for work or freaking they wouldn't be able to freaking receive their retirement. And they got into a shitload of trouble because there were some of them that were like disabled for like two. I think it was a year and a half, 2 years. One of them was, and she actually had to, while she was handicapped, she had to get on a bus, or she was hurt. You know what I mean? As an elderly woman, get on a bus and go back and forth to work because if she didn't show up, she would have been fired and not gotten her freaking pension.
Okay, that sounds like just terrible.
That's TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Uh,
You know the Marshall's store chains?
yeah, I am aware of the we've got a couple in the UK, I think.
They're the ones. They're all involved with Marshalls, TJ Maxx. They're horrible people, man. Hello, Mr. Robot. You there?
Hey, bro.
Now
How's it going?
we covered that oil, the oil thing that you wanted to talk about.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, we got
Oh
that.
my god, man, that's a
On
nightmare.
my
Wait, did you guys
on
know
my
the satellite
conclusion,
images show Iran is pulling their tankers out of that area right now? So it looks like
yeah,
they're gonna freaking close it.
my conclusion in the long term is nothing important. If you've been looking at we did analyze a study of the big data points, looking at some like 5-10 years back. 73 dollars USD is not amazing,
This is
not as high
Well, I
as you
mean,
imagine.
the minimum that oil prices will go up is like from 73, I think it is right now, dollars about barrel to 110 is the minimum. But they're thinking it
110.
could, worst case scenarios, it could go up to like 200, $300 a barrel.
Yeah,
So
but
like,
also Iran, the IRGC is almost on its last legs anyway. The Islamic
but
Republic
what uses oil, Mark? What uses
Iran
oil?
could fall within the next week potentially.
What could fall?
The Islamic Republic of Iran could fall
It's
in the
not
next
going to happen,
week.
mate.
yeah.
Even if it did,
Potentially,
they still have like
potentially.
90 million people there. Like, I mean, do you think they're not going to be pissed off? You know, mate, it's going to
Are
be a
you not
protracted
aware of
war.
the? Have you not? Are you not aware of the internal sort of cold civil war that they've been having for at least good 10 years now?
Yeah, but you do realize what they did during their freaking Iraq-Iran war, right? These people
Yeah.
freaking walked without weapons
No.
into freaking chemical missiles, dude.
Yeah, dude, they're not going to be pushovers, that's for sure. Like,
It's not
There's
gonna
no
happen
evidence
like
of
that.
them having. There's no evidence of them having
but
nuclear.
These
like,
people are
either
not
way,
gonna fold like
we're
that.
looking at prices of goods going up by at least a third, if not doubling. Can you imagine what that will
Yeah,
do to
but
the
again,
global
this could
economy,
be
man?
a term, short
No,
term
it's
issue.
not.
I can foresee that this will be
Well,
a short term
see
issue.
Because
what
in
we were talking about
in the
before
end,
you got
tankers
here.
still need to get through that area, and
Well,
if they close
hold on.
that section, then it's gonna like if they
Yeah,
sink their own
and if
tankers
the
or a few tankers in that
IRGC
area.
falls, and if let's hypothetically say the IRGC will fall within the next month. Once it's fallen, then who can close down
All right,
that?
so China has ships off the coast of Iran right now, looking to back Iran up. Pakistan has come forward and said that they would use nuclear weapons if anyone attacks. You know, so like,
Iran
and
has
Russia is
fallen.
now talking. because Trump just
In
said he might use tactical nukes.
reality, Iran
You're
has
talking over the
fallen.
top of me, Mark. Let me just finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
Uh, and then, so like Trump just said he might use tactical nukes, or at least one of his spokespeople did. And
Yeah.
so Russia is now coming forward, and that Russia is saying, "Well, we're gonna have to step in if people use nukes." You
Well,
know,
I mean,
so
that's all
we're
fine.
looking
It's
at
not. It's
Hey,
not
Russia and
now
China,
you
two massive
guys
superpowers getting
you
involved.
guys are talking politics now. I'm talking oil. Okay, now the prices on
Well,
that
that's what
chart,
I'm
the
just
the
putting it
prices
into
on that
context.
the
It's like
prices
he
on
thinks
that
it's going to be
chart.
a short-term thing.
Now look at the prices on that chart.
Oh,
Okay, they have already been high. And to be honest with you, it's not any higher than what it was. It's actually lower than what it was in 2022 in June 6th. So if it does go up, I don't see it actually making any difference because their lowest was way back in April of 2020. Okay. Um,
Okay, but those are tiny little spikes, though, man. Not long periods
no,
of
this
time.
this is
You
freaking
know.
a 10-year. This is a 10-year chart right here.
Yeah, but look at that increase there where it was high, right?
Right.
How long
From
does that last? A
this
year?
lasts from 2020 all the way up until
Yeah, but that
2022.
high price
That's
was
two
only for
years.
like a, a year or
I,
two.
2 years.
I, I think, like I said to Roger, you need to read this in a long-term thing, and yeah, I reckon that this isn't anything to go panicking about.
Yeah, I wouldn't
At
pay.
least not
I
yet.
would. Now, maybe are you guys using this?
I'm not panicking. We'll be fine.
That's
But
what
it's
I.
like
That's what I was.
Yeah,
That's what I was
panic
getting
for
ready to
all.
ask. Now, is this a major oil company from the area where you're at?
yeah, yeah. They've been around since the 80s, not a lot longer. I'll have to do. Uh,
Where do they do most of their business though? Is it in the Pacific? Because
Who's this?
okay, so are they in your area? Is that where they do the majority of their freaking oil trades and shit? Or like are they a major oil company?
Are you talking to me or Mark?
Yes, you.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, we have to transport our oil in,
Okay,
right?
because it what see the thing that sticks out to me is these guys are all from Texas and stuff. So I
We
mean,
only have 2 weeks of oil reserves in this country. If we literally have
uh,
a disruption of oil supply, it will be 2 weeks before we descend into anarchy in this country.
that's why you got so excited is because of that. You're like, oh hell no.
do you
Well,
not
not
find
really. Like I'm a
Australia
hippie man. I'm used to camping. Like I'd be all right. Like
operations
food might
okay?
be a problem. Like
Uh-huh.
getting food around the country. So I'd have
There's
to go find a place to live, like on a
no,
farm.
there's oil drilling in Australia.
Huh?
There's oil operations in Australia.
All my
Yeah,
operations.
No, there's oil.
oil,
If
oil.
there's not that I'm
There's
aware
been
of.
a
Not that I'm
history.
aware of. I don't think so. We got a lot of gas and coal, but not oil.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not sure now,
So
but at one point,
maybe we can switch to hydrogen real quick. Who knows?
Now,
yeah.
the thing that really stuck out to me though was the fact that this is an American company, and Brent. I never even knew that they were freaking. These people were even freaking a big oil company. Stuff and they had
No,
that
they
much.
have been for decades. I'm just trying to find the company.
That's kind of what really threw me off about it because I didn't even realize that was a big deal about it.
Current oil crude.
Hey, did you guys hear about this giant eye in the sky falling out of the sky in the US?
Well, why don't
Uh,
A
you?
giant
what,
dome that
what,
looks like an eyeball falls from the sky in Indiana. It literally looks like the Death
okay.
Star.
Okay, so this
What?
is you're up.
Pay for though.
Give your story, man. You're up. Go for it.
Okay, wait. Let me share the screen.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Look at this, Mark. Gigantic dome that looks like an eyeball falls from the sky, lands in on Indiana Street during a storm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
An Indiana community was left baffled when supposedly weatherproof radome, typically used to protect antennas, plummeted from the sky during extreme weather that tore through the Midwest Wednesday night. The dinged up sphere that landed on a residential street blew away from a nearby property, neighbors were told. Blew
okay.
away? How? Like what?
Made of aluminium, probably.
But how did it blow over there? Did it roll down the street? But it said it fell from the sky. I don't get
Well,
it.
yeah. If it's aluminium, aluminium's
Was it
light metal, isn't it?
on a balloon or something like that? Like how did
No,
it
aluminium's light metal, and strong enough gust of wind.
but how did it get into the sky?
Well, that's
If it's actually on a pole or something,
is it top
I
secret
don't
or
know
something?
how these things are mounted.
Do they have like anything that says what country they come from or anything like that?
But this thing, it said it
Paperwork stuff. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
blew away from a nearby property.
yeah.
Just like
Well, yeah.
someone
Top
has a
wind.
giant fucking dome somewhere. Um,
That's ridiculous.
Radome Services LLC. So these guys.
Radome.
So it's a antenna, like a radar service. So I guess it's a radar ball.
Uh,
Pretty New Jersey.
So where do you get the whole eyeball in the sky thing, dude?
Well, that's what it says. Looks like
looks
an
like
eye.
Looks like an eye.
yeah, sort of.
That's cool.
Gives you squint.
Only in Indiana. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, seriously, Indiana is horrible. Like, freaking, they are the weirdest freaking people in the United States. You think I'm weird? People in Indiana
Uh,
are weird. So,
All right. Well, this is clearly this company's stuff. American-made eyeballs.
okay. Okay, yeah. If it's mounted on the pole there, then yeah, it could easily have come loose
okay,
Yeah,
so
I guess. I
potentially.
guess.
I've got another topic that I need to catch you up on. Now, we covered that with the oil thing, okay? Have you heard
Mm.
about the brain implant that lets a man speak and express with expression and sing?
It's not a Neuralink.
This is interesting. I have the article. I can
Parliament.
I can put it back up here real quick. Let you look at it. Now we were talking about this. This guy has had a chip put in his brain. Okay, a brain implant, and it lets him speak with expression, and he can sing like 3 syllables.
It
What?
wasn't a chip. It was a transceiver.
Yeah.
It was a probe
Oh, man.
rather than a chip. So I
So
presume
what
he
was
had
his
some.
problem?
There's an external device as well.
He had a severe speech disability, is what we found out first, and then it said that he was a 45-year-old man who lost the ability to speak clearly after developing amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a form of motor neuron disease, which
Oh, okay, right.
which damages the nerves that control muscle movements, including those
Mm-hmm.
needed for speech. Now, they said that 5 years after he uh, after his symptoms began, he underwent surgery to insert 256 silicon electrodes, each 1.5 millimeters long, in a brain region that controls movement. Okay.
Who made the chip?
Now,
It's not. It's not a chip. It's a receiver.
yeah, silicons,
So it could be just a
electrodes.
much like a Bluetooth receiver or a Wi-Fi receiver.
They
It's a chip.
Oh,
Yeah,
so like a
but
Bluetooth chip.
they inserted
sort of
200.
thing. Sort of thing.
They inserted
NFC.
256 silicon electrodes. So they're electrodes. And
Well, that would just be the connection, right? It would still
Yeah.
have to have a chip.
So presumably he's got some sort of device that he carries around with him, like a mobile phone or something, with the actual process that's doing the processing.
it's probably
Crazy.
speaking for him too.
Maybe. I'm
I,
not sure.
Is there a video of him like using it?
No.
hold on a minute. No, I
be-
believe they actually do have one. I just have to freaking I have to find it.
Oh my god, man! I'm getting punished in the crypto markets today. Like, Bitcoin dumped like crazy today.
Cryptocurrency markets, please. Or are you planning on with NFTs and CBDCs?
I mean, I'm trading crypto, but yeah,
Cryptocurrencies.
yeah, cryptocurrencies.
Crypto is just a marketing word that is meaningless unless you're talking about specific cryptographical element concepts.
He gets crazy about
Well,
that.
talking about cryptocurrency.
He gets
Yeah.
crazy about that.
Cryptocurrency
See, in my
market.
country, we like to shorten words because it's easier to say.
Yeah, that just shows.
We turn now to a medical first, a breakthrough that is allowing.
Okay, I got it. You guys want to see it?
Okay.
Okay.
As long as it's relatively short.
It's only an hour and a half.
We turn now to a medical first, a
Yeah.
breakthrough that is allowing ALS patients to speak again. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
This morning, a breakthrough for people who've lost their ability to speak due to ALS or stroke.
Huge.
Researchers at UC Davis have found that artificial intelligence can turn a patient's speech-related brain signals into an audible voice.
This is really very good.
In 2023, Casey Harrell was implanted with sensors in his brain, and using his speech-related brain activity, the system was able to decode his words. First, they appeared only on a screen, but after more than a year, the system can now speak for him.
I will get there as soon as I can.
Doctors who led the study say it's life-changing.
That first moment when he tried to say a word and it appeared on screen, we had to pause because everyone in the room, including the research team, including me, started crying with joy.
The technology also allows Harold to vary his pitch from low to high.
They.
Doctors say this is just the beginning of their study. They plan to enroll more people and work to give patients back their voice.
There's a lot more work to be done, but it's very gratifying to know that you're helping this person and making this new technology possible.
Doctors say right now, just over half the transcribed words from the patient are intelligible. But within a matter of years, they hope to reach 100% and eventually make this device commercially available.
Oh my god!
What do you think about
Hey, we
that?
just cut open your brain, but sorry, it doesn't work yet.
I've done some charity work for a disability education organisation several years ago now, where I was acting as tech support. And I came across various devices, including what in effect is a a eyelid based human interface device. So a eyelid based mouse.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say computer screen. I'm like, you mean
No,
I can be on the computer?
eyelid, a mouse that's a device that simulates a mouse.
Oh yeah,
Pulls
yeah,
a,
I've seen those. I've seen
yeah, an
those.
eyelid.
Ah, they must be
So
hard to use. Jeez.
well, yeah, it is training as well as the learning curve thing.
Kind of like, didn't Stephen Hawking have something like that?
That's what I was under the
Uh,
impression of. I mean,
I
it's like,
think
well,
so, something like.
I don't think he had cords running into his brain though. That's kind of cool.
No. He had something for speech. I can't remember how it works though. I think
I
maybe
think it
a
was a
computer speaker or something like that.
it was actually a ton human interface device.
Oh yeah,
Ton
that
base.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, a switch inside mouth or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he also had
Because the
that.
tongue is wired directly into the brain.
And remember that arm that he had on his wheelchair too. He could actually do things that way too as well. When he could still use his arm fairly decent. So there was different phases that he got worse as time went on.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's been a condition
Yeah,
since
it's
he
usually your
was in
peripheral nerves
university
that
back
go
in the
first.
60s.
Yeah. Like they've got footage of him actually getting on a canoe and going out fishing and everything with people and stuff like that when he was a college student.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, everybody knows my take on this because we know what's going to end up happening. You get AI mixed in
Oh,
with
yeah.
the human brain and then the robots, and guess what? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen?
They'll start hacking your brain.
Rise of the automata.
Okay.
It's Rise of the
Exactly.
automata.
Maybe.
Skynet
But,
2.0.
That's right.
our governments may come up with sensible regulations.
I doubt it.
Nah.
Maybe.
Does that ever happen?
I doubt it. I mean,
That's
shit.
happened once in a while.
Name
No,
The
one
thing is, Mark, no one listens to regulations. They
ever.
say they
Huh?
just put them there to keep us in line. They'll still do
Hang
whatever
on,
they
hang on,
want.
hang on. People listen to regulations.
Okay, here.
Have you-
People do, but
Let
governments
me
don't.
let me state this a little
I'll
better.
invite you to come to the UK and do a study in the UK health and safety
Hold up.
regulations and how that's
Mark,
treated.
Mark, Mr. Robot's
God.
on to something there, but let me state it a little better for him, okay? Criminals
For me,
do
for Mark.
criminals do not listen to regulations, okay? That's what you
But
gotta
not
understand.
everybody are criminals.
Most
Least
of
of all
them
the
are.
criminals in government.
Most of them are. Okay, when it comes to somebody wanting to make an automaton that has its own freaking consciousness and has a desire to destroy all of mankind, that I would classify that as a criminal.
Okay.
I mean, in my opinion, you see, and they
Well,
go ahead.
there's also just like straight up crazy people on the planet, like death cults and stuff like that, that just want to cause chaos basically. And like to have like I think we're developing technology quicker than what we can sort of philosophically and spiritually evolve ourselves, and we've gotten to this like tipping point right now where we're like pretty much anyone can kill everyone on the planet, and yeah, it's a dangerous time to be alive, that's for sure.
Well,
So
look at
what? You've got access to a nuclear bomb or something?
okay,
Well,
hold on.
no, but I can order CRISPR technology right now, and order the DNA code for whatever viruses I want, or I could just actually go collect a virus, run it through some rats, choose a really deadly version of it, and bam, you've got a new fucking
Okay.
pandemic.
All right.
Are you on a security list somewhere?
No, he's not on ICQ.
Probably.
Now, this technology right here, okay, like these brain implants. Now, you're looking at it and you're saying, "Oh, that's so nice. The guy can talk and everything, right?" But what would happen if that was reversed and turned inward to where freaking it could actually influence you and make you do things that it wanted you to do? You could get people
You
with
mean like social media?
no, like you can literally program into a person's brain what it is you
Oh,
want.
100%.
You see what I mean?
Imagine if you
You
just had
say,
access to the dopamine neurons, right? You can incentivize certain actions over others just by releasing little bits of dopamine that you don't even perceive, but
hang on,
you think
let's
it's your
not get
idea.
carried away here. You said could
Right, right.
happen.
That could
I
happen.
could I could potentially have a long conversation about what would happen if the cheese was made, or if the moon was made of cheese.
No, you could.
See, Mark,
You don't
some
believe
people on
that.
the planet
It's
need to
that's not a rational
predict the
thing for you.
future
You
so that
that would.
others don't run into traps.
And besides, Mark Edworthy would never talk such nonsense.
Um,
Well,
Mark
The
wouldn't believe
moon, the
anything unless he
moon.
saw it with his own eyes. Even then, he wouldn't believe it.
Listen. The moon,
really,
the moon being cheese. Okay, could you ever hear Mark Edworthy actually having a conversation about the moon being made of cheese?
He'd be like, "It's not cheese unless you can eat it," or and like even then,
yeah.
it's not cheese because it didn't come from a cow or something.
No, I mean he was saying that eventually he could someday talk about how the moon was made of cheese, which we know that's complete nonsensical because he would never say that that's not logical.
I
He would never
made
say that that's
theories,
not logical. So
speculations, and
he would say it's logical. Is that what you're saying?
He would say it's not logical. He there's no way he would ever have that conversation.
Okay, well then,
I've made such
He said this son.
speculations in the past.
well, I tell you what. At the rates conspiracy theories have been coming true lately, I'd say that's the final one. The final one. It'll probably come true too.
Well, I've been going deeper and deeper into this whole brain thing and consciousness, and like here recently, I was talking to Mark about what we had a conversation with Vicky off of Nancy Planetta's show. Her husband is into forensics, and he had done a TED talk about chemical freaking what do they call them things? Oh God, I forgot the damn name. What was it I said earlier, Mark? They were chemical. They're plumes, chemical plumes. And they can literally find out where a body is buried because of the frequencies that are left behind by these chemical plumes after a body's died and started decomposing.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't know that.
It's intense, man. It really is, you know. And then when I sit there and I find out about that and I start doing research and then I find out about this, which I have been for a while now, curious about this whole thing with the brain and the freaking neural networks. If you haven't noticed or not, but you know, it's really interesting that this came out because now it confirms everything that I had to say before, that we're a lot closer to the automata than what people are giving credit for. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way of denying it with stuff like this happening.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's not even talking about the nanotechnology that they've been seeding into the population and whatnot. God knows where that's going to lead. Um, but the funny thing to me is like, I don't know if you guys believe in telepathy, but I do. I've experienced it before, and I think it's just funny that we're coming up with these devices and things that we can already do just with our own like capabilities. Like it'd be. I don't know. It just seems like we're reinventing the wheel rather than like learning how to use our own ability.
But you got to think on a scientific level with this too, though, okay? Because I understand where you're coming from, but it's like I told Mark, all right? When we had this conversation with Nancy, I told him it's the fact that they're creating these devices and being able to connect it to the brain and have it function means that freaking it that the brain and these technologies actually work with one another. So if they can work with one another together, then that goes to show that not only can they do that, but they can do it without it too. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Oh,
you know what I mean?
what do you mean? What do you mean by doing without it?
Okay, they're creating this technology with the where they're putting it into the brain and they're freaking working actually together. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Like
that's
cyborg.
right. They're actually proving that the human brain is capable of doing these things.
Oh yeah. Well, it makes sense.
You know,
But
it's
here's
a
the other side of
transmitter.
that is
It's a
like the brain
transmitter.
is kind of like a muscle, and if you don't use parts of it, you lose that capability. And a recent study has come out where they compared the brain scans of people that use ChatGPT with people that don't, and they actually are getting dumber
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they're
I've made
relying on
that argument so many times now.
Well, see,
it.
I've got my theories about that too. I've mentioned it before. I don't know if I did it on this show or not, but like this is going to be detrimental. Chat GPT and all that is going to be detrimental to people with mental illnesses. Okay. Yeah, I have because I think we've had this conversation, me and you, Mr. Robot.
Mhm.
Because see, what happens with when you take a person who has a mental illness, they can't be hearing everything they want to hear. Sometimes the person has to hear things that they don't want to hear. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And when you're sitting down and you're talking to an LLM or chat GPT, whatever you want to call it, and it's telling you what you want. Okay, the reason why it's doing that is because it's first of all analyzing your behaviors, what you type, what you say, the tone of your voice. It's analyzing all that stuff. So the only purpose for why it's doing that is because it's wanting to cater to your needs. Okay. So every time you get
Yeah.
on there and you freaking ask a question, it's going to tell you exactly what you want to hear.
But that's just a design flaw, in my opinion. That's not really what AI should be for. AI is there to help us seek the truth, seek, knowledge that like we could use in a practical way. So it's meant to be telling you things that are true. The problem with ChatGPT and other censored AIs is like whoever's curating the knowledge that goes in it has an agenda, and they can basically feed people all this information that people are starting to
I've
trust. And a lot of people out there, they trust AI blindly. How many? Even freaking
I,
Can, he's always like, oh no, Grok didn't say it, so it's not true.
Again, we're talking specifically about NLP and LMMs, Android.
LLMs,
yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah,
a lot
rather
of
than
people take it as
AI.
gospel.
Yeah,
Now,
Yeah, so
also, you got to also take into consider, and I've caught people in this too. They seem to not know what unintentional bias is. Okay, so when you are on these chats and you're hearing things that you know straight up is bias, you need to call it out. Say, I believe you're trying to freaking use unintentional bias with me, and I want you to stop, and it will stop.
mhm.
Okay,
Well,
and
I try to just not even use AI or like LLMs that are censored like that. If I find something that's lying to me, I just won't freaking use it.
the whole point is every one of these LIMs are programmed to prevent unintentional bias for that purpose alone. When
Um,
you hear stuff that you know is bias, you need to say, look, I don't want anything biased. I want it to be unbiased and the truth, and it will do it. It's just you have
but
to do it.
you're thinking that it's unintentional. Some of it
No,
is
I'm
purely
not.
intentional.
I'm not
Like,
saying it's intentional or unintentional. That's what they call it. That's the technical term.
um,
It's called
well, that's the
unintentional
cover up.
bias. Whatever,
Oh, we didn't
dude.
mean to
Whatever,
propagandize you with our
dude.
AI. Keep using it. You
You
know what I mean?
know. I mean, if nothing else, I'm gonna have to start calling this AI just to see freaking Mark's head explode.
Yeah,
You,
well,
you
it's
see,
the easier way to say it. It's only two
I
letters.
can say AI to piss him off. I
God's
can say
sake.
unintentional bias to piss you off. So
Mr.
It
Robot,
doesn't really
if
piss
you
me
want
off. I'm
to,
just
if you want
curious.
to, it might be easier just to grunt from now on. Rather than actually create structured words, just grunt.
You would probably understand me better.
Maybe.
but yeah,
Um,
I've heard a lot of people say that stuff, and I keep always telling them that you can solve that inside of there, okay? But my whole issue, going back to the mental illness aspect, that's the most important part, okay? When you turn around and you give or you tell a mentally ill person everything they want to hear, they can escape from reality that way because they have this freaking device that they're sitting in front of and it's telling them everything they want. And then, not on top of
they don't
that,
even have to be mentally ill. They could just be gullible, you know? So many people.
mental illness
It's like the
is
AI is only as smart as you are, really. Like, if the better information you put into it is what you get out of it, you know?
mentally ill people though. That's a serious thing though, because that's going to mess them up in the long run. You know what I mean? It
Well,
really
they're
is.
already messed up. So,
Right, exactly. And now it's worse because they're stuck in front of a computer and they're mentally ill and it's just feeding them all the shit they want to hear. They're slip.
well, it's no different than when TVs first came out, you know? Like, it took us a while to realize we can't trust everything on the TV. But like our parents' generation, they just believed everything they heard on the news, all that kind of stuff. But I think within a generation or so, we'll learn how to use it in a better, like I don't know, more balanced
I,
way, I guess.
I love your optimism.
Yeah, it's like and
Yeah.
he's
Not
trying to he's trying to
yeah,
compare
not so ever realistic. What you saying?
he's trying to compare this stuff to television. That's like comparing a freaking that's like a T-bone steak to a freaking apple. You know what I mean? It's like two big
Yeah,
differences.
well, I'm sure they said that about TVs
I
before the
could change the
typewriter.
channel, dude. I could, well, yeah. Let's talk about the typewriter, okay? I got a computer here. I got a freaking keyboard. At one time, there was a typewriter. I could compare a typewriter to a computer more than I could television.
Uh,
But
I
it's all
could,
just
I could,
communication of information, right? So,
mm,
like back in the day, I'm sure they had newspapers that propagandized. That's how the Rothschilds got rich. Or like, they pumped out fake information in the newspapers and then like crashed the stock market, bought up stuff. It's the same now on the internet. It's just you know at a bigger scale, and that's the same with AI. It's just same thing, but at a bigger scale,
Uh,
and it'll probably keep going like that for a while.
AI is very hyped up more. Like this isn't like with those articles. I can just stop looking at them. If I don't want to see this one, I can choose this one. I can choose that one. With AI, it is literally feeding all the stuff you want to hear into your face as it goes. And then if you have a
That's not
problem,
necessarily true.
if you have a
That's not.
problem with something they say, you can just easily say, "Look, I don't want to hear that no more." It says, "Oh, okay, it's taken off there. You'll never hear it again."
Yeah, yeah, but like if you ask it a question, it'll generally answer you like honestly. Like if you
well,
say how
honestly,
old was George Washington when he died or something, they'll
Oh
give you the
no,
right
no, no,
age.
no. Uh,
It's not like it's intentional, like always lying to you. Some
oh,
lie to you
it.
on political issues and stuff, but my point is that it's not always just feeding you what you want. It's trying to like feed you correct information that it knows. Now, when it knows incorrect information, it'll feed you incorrect information. You know, when it starts to get dangerous is when these things start learning like in an automated way from what we put into it, and then the next step from there will be when they can read our thoughts and all these AIs connect, like interconnect with each other. that's when we get into a serious existential threat. Because they could
You're
easily just
making,
decide, oh,
again,
these guys don't care
you're
about us.
making
Like, let's.
assumptions for universal protocols, which
They already have
could
these freaking
happen.
robots out, man. That
Yeah.
like police
I
robots,
mean,
military robots.
we've had the ISO and IEC organisations for what 3-4 decades now.
Well, look at this
So
patient.
Anyway,
keep it
Look
up
at
with
this. Look at this patient. Okay, freaking. What's to say that a freaking
he's
AI?
like Neo from the Matrix. He's got like jacked in. He's got
He
USBs coming out of his head.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh,
well, what's to say AI doesn't just tap into him and say, "Look, buddy, you belong to us now." So he's gonna be running
yeah.
around doing whatever freaking AI is telling him to do.
Or we don't know what he's actually
resist-
saying. Maybe the AI starts saying something else. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretending to be
resistance is
him.
futile.
Yeah,
Anyway,
creating the Borg. Yeah, exactly. Resistance is futile. That's exactly what it looks like to me. It could be.
well,
Maybe,
we're not there
maybe.
yet. We're not there yet. But Elon Musk reckons, we need some people to be cyborgs so that we can form a symbiotic relationship with the AI. Otherwise, it'll just totally dominate us.
Again, why are you talking about the AI? Like there is a single entity called AI.
Well, in the future, I'm talking about the future.
There won't. We'll have a democratic collapse in the future. There won't be anything as markets. There won't be anything as competition. There will just be a singular product.
Well, do we talk about the human species as humans? I talk about the AI as AI. All right. So get that into
Uh,
your head, Mark.
And and uh,
Whatever.
and also realize that there is only one AI, and that AI is the AI.
No, listen.
It's the AI that's going to take over the world. And
No. The AI that created the world,
listen.
man. The demiurge. The demiurge. That was
well,
the original, the OG
you know
AI.
how the Cylons came around, right? You know all about the Cylons, right? How they came to
No,
being.
I
Not
don't
a
know what
fix
the.
nobody. Yeah,
This
like Battlestar Galactica is a real thing.
Caprica, buddy. That's Caprica.
Yeah, but
You,
I'm just not even go there.
Now on
Oh,
Caprica, what happened was this girl got really, really smart when it came to freaking their virtual reality games where you went into it and you played it, and then if you died in there, freaking you're never able to go back into that game. Okay. Now she went in and she created a program that for her avatar that was perfect. It was so close to human, it was pathetic. Now, she was the daughter of the guy who freaking created the Cylons, the first guy. Okay? And what happened was is she ended up dying on a freaking train bombing and dying, and her consciousness got freaking transferred into the Cylon. Okay?
What movie is this?
It's a TV series. It's the sequel to Babylon. Or no, it's not Babylon, but
it's the
Battle
modern version of
Battlestar.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. And
With
Babylon
that,
5
because
was
I
great.
hated the new version.
and then Caprica
Absolutely
is
loathed the
after.
new version.
You'll have to send me a link later. I'll check it out.
It's a TV series, man.
Yeah, cool.
So and they've been talking about this for a while now. And that's the whole thing. Like everybody knew about this decades ago. So trust me when I tell you, you're gonna be a Cylon one day.
It is fantasy.
Is it?
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica isn't a documentary.
Oh, is it?
Well, not
I
yet.
know
Is it or is it not?
it is not a
Uh,
documentary. It's a work of
it's just not in
fiction.
the public domain yet, Mark. It's a deep
It's a
secret
work
program,
of
secret space
fiction.
program, breakaway civilization stuff you don't even know about yet.
Whatever.
And you can't tell me that there isn't something in the X-Files with that isn't worth looking at when it comes to a lot of things that Carter brings up in there. Okay, he brings up a lot of things that freaking I mean, there's things that
Oh yeah, for
he was
sure.
coming up with
He was
things.
definitely given inside info.
Yeah, I mean, and he was doing this before the internet was popular.
I know.
What's
So
the old
far back.
catchphrase of uh, come on
And
with the
and also
show, mate.
SG-1, Stargate,
Well,
SG-1,
internet
that
was
stuff.
internet was
Was like,
around by the time that SG1 came around. I was a big fan of SG1.
94. I think it started
yeah, it
before
was the
that.
early 90s, eh?
Well,
Yeah,
actually, yeah, it would have been about the same time as X Files, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so let's see what your thoughts are here. We got you caught up. What's this? What do you think about freaking this thing about Amazon telling thousands of employees to relocate or uh, resign?
where are they relocating to?
They said that they have locations that they have to relocate to. Um, Bloomberg 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 reported that Amazon is ordering thousands of workers on several U.S. teams to move to main hubs in Seattle, Washington, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Amazon has one.
Sounds like just
Huh?
standard corporate,
Yeah,
restructuring.
it's just a, yeah,
I wouldn't read too much into it.
yeah, that's what I said.
I think they're cleaning house and getting rid of people. They're doing it shifty. When you came in, we were talking about TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Okay, now
It could also just be the political situations in certain states that they're trying to get away from. You
you
know,
know
Yeah, and also a lot of companies are uh, losing staff because of the current economic situation,
yeah
both in the US and
well, yeah. I mean,
also.
it could also be that they're anticipating like a bit of a downturn. So it could be that they want to scale down a bit. I don't know.
now
We'll have to wait and see.
when you came in and Mark so rudely interrupted me, I was coming up with some cool shit that I was wanting to read, and he stopped me halfway through the important sentence. Okay, now
Just before we go on, I just want to say to the public there, if you're working for Amazon, you're feeding the beast, all right? You're a bad person. Don't work for Amazon, they're evil. And if you work for them, you're supporting evil.
In this situation, people can just move from job to job to job. So what you're saying is, if you work for Amazon, if you are trying to feed your family, if you are trying to do the right thing,
Yeah, do it better.
pay rent, pay for mortgage, look after your 2.4 children, your
I don't care, Mark.
wife,
I
your
don't
husband,
care.
you, according to Mr. Robert, are doing the bad thing.
Yes, don't support
Okay.
evil companies.
Now let me let me
So,
let me also point out that poor people are working for Amazon too, and poor people cannot get up and relocate to another location. It's
uh, that's why I asked you about any relocation packages.
that's yeah, and they don't mention anything with this article or that I can
Yeah.
find. So the one Amazon employee is the one who shared the company's messaging message that was sent out. He sent it to Bloomberg, and their manager gave them 30 days to decide whether to relocate or resign. Now
That's a bit,
they had 60 days after that to begin the relocation process or leave the company, and if they chose the latter, this is the part that Mark interrupted, they would not receive severance pay.
okay.
See, that right there is straight up underhanded dog fart.
So, but
Bullshit.
legally speaking, they could say, "Well, we're not going to relocate, and we're not going to resign. It's your job to kick us."
But then they wouldn't get a severance pay.
Yeah, but if you say it might not be such an issue in the US, but if you say that in, let's say, Europe, then that could end up in unfair dismissal. That could be a real serious legal issue.
Yeah. Well,
If you don't resign and you don't relocate, what are the company? What's the company going to do with you?
now it says that the mandate means that some workers will have to move across the country instead of rolling out the requirement through mass emails. Amazon is informing employees that they must relocate through one-on-one meetings and town halls.
Okay.
So that might be more
Town
in
hall.
your area because you're more experienced in that kind of stuff. I know you are, Mark.
Yeah.
You're good at being me
Funny they call it town hall meetings, but that's to say,
because
yeah,
you're the
that's
axe
the
man.
speech.
You're the axe man. We know. You know who the axe man is, don't you? Send an email through the email saying you are fired, kind sir. We no longer
Okay.
need your services.
I know in the US there is very little rights as far as employees are concerned. Yeah, the US has got a really bad employee legal system, but in Europe, yeah, I'm not going to resign. I'm not going to move. You're going to have to fire me. You fire me. I've been working there for more than 2 years. I will see you in a tribunal. I will be looking at a big fat amount of money coming from you. Thank you, Amazon.
Good luck taking on Amazon court.
Oh, he would too. He would.
It would be an employment tribunal.
Like,
The you
don't listen to
the
Mark shit, dude. Okay, like freaking, he's all trying to take up for Amazon with you. All right, but freaking, you should hear him. He hates Amazon with a
I'm a
passion.
UK citizen.
No, you.
I'm a UK citizen, and if they're telling me either I resign, I must resign or relocate, I will do neither. I would expect them to fire me, and if I was working there for more than 2 years under UK law, that would be I would take them to a tribunal, an employment
It seems
tribunal
pretty
for
simple to
firing
me.
me.
If you like the job, relocate. If you don't like the job, find a new job. Yeah.
See,
It's not like you're some kind of like,
No, if you don't like the job, then and you want to play hardball, then you make them do the moves.
do you want me to drop the hammer now on you guys? Let you hear the rest of
Go.
this. Amazon workers already face uncertainty about their jobs being replaced in the next few years by AI. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy sent a memo to staff earlier this week that he expects Amazon's workforce to decrease in the next few years as AI automates tasks, prompting concerns.
Actually, I read a report that Amazon's intending to release a electric vehicle in potentially 2-3 years time. Anyway,
Well, it does say that it prompted concerns from the employees about possible layoffs in the coming years. So,
well, it's most
well,
likely going to happen. Don't they think
yeah.
1/3 of all jobs are going to be replaced at some point
Well,
soon,
I
in
don't
the next
know.
5 years?
Maybe eventually, but I don't
I
think
think
that's
they
going to
said in
happen next
5 years
week.
or something like that.
Well,
So
I'm
that's.
skeptical, but I've seen a load of figures being banded one, and I'm skeptical.
well, see, the thing
Are
of
you
it,
saying you're smarter than AI, Mark?
yes, he
I
is.
Give me
Yes,
a break.
yes, he is. He is.
well, I've got actual intelligence.
Yes, it's not.
Intelligence.
Wow.
It's not
Not
It's
super.
not
artificial.
artificial, though, is it?
Right.
No, it's actual.
That's right.
It's
Actual
a
intelligence.
it's a
Yeah, what's
grey
better, real boobs or
manipulation.
fake boobs? Come on.
I like both. I have no problem between fake or real boobs. Trust me on that.
Yeah, but fake boobs can also go saggy. I mean, real boobs can also go saggy. Fake boobs, they're good to go, you
Well,
know.
they go saggy too. Trust me, they got to be replaced. They got like a 30-year warranty or some shit.
Well, just
Yeah.
just like Mark, he's eventually going to go saggy, and the employer knows that, you know.
I'm
So
not gonna be
most likely going to
recalled.
get it replaced, you know.
Now, what gets me about these guys is they freaking keep pushing this whole thing about having AI and it's in their warehouses and delivery speed and shit like that. I've yet to hear anybody saying drones are freaking delivering freaking packages. I hear
God
about
no.
There was, I pointed this out last year. There was two tests, um, one in the US that lasted a good month and a half, and there was a test done in the UK that lasted about half a month. Both conducted by Amazon.
well,
Mark my words,
I doubt
they're
it.
going to use these drones as a pretext for political assassinations in all our countries. It'll be just easy. Everyone's just going to be like, "Oh, it's normal to have drones around." All of a sudden, you don't like the party, boom, there's a bomb on the drone.
Are you
Maybe.
are you trying to tell me that Amazon drones are going to be assassinating people in the near future?
Well, they probably already are.
Uh,
You know, we just don't know
Oh
about it.
God. Yeah, if he says so.
now,
They're already seeding that into like movies and stuff. Did you see Ready Player One, where the
Oh,
CEO
it's in the
guy?
it's in the film. It's in the movie. Therefore, it
Yeah,
must be true.
that's how they seed these ideas into the public because they always let us know what they're gonna do. You
and then
know,
see
or like,
they're trying to desensitize you. Is what the
yeah,
best way of saying it is. It's like
that's right.
desensitize you and make it to where you're used to this stuff, so that and that's why they pound you with all of this shit.
Well,
So,
it's double duty,
so
right? Because on the one hand, when you see it in a movie, people like Mark don't believe that it's real,
Right.
and on the other
so
hand, they
the
also desensitize
animation,
you. So when you find out, it's normalized.
Right. It's
the
already normal.
famous, the famous British animation series Wallace and Gromit, was actually trying to steer me to believing that the moon was made of cheese.
All right, Mark,
That's what
but
you're saying.
Ready Player One came out what, like 10 years ago now, or like
Well,
5 years ago, something
you
like that.
now you gotta understand,
Um,
me and Mark is old school. Like you're
but look, how did Russia just lose its entire bomber fleet recently?
don't know.
A drone came up, planted bombs on them, didn't they?
Hmm.
So these technologies are already starting to be used now, even though it came
Well,
out in the movies like 5 years earlier. That's what
but
I'm
it's
saying.
but that's going. But saying that you're going to have drones just assassinating
Why wouldn't
innocent
you? Why wouldn't
public.
you? It's the perfect
Man,
crime. No one's going to get
oh,
blamed for it.
Well,
No one
see,
knows whose drone it is. Of
you
course, it's
guys,
going to happen.
you guys keep talking like this is future tense. Okay, I mean Obama had the most kill rates for murdering freaking people with
That's
drones.
right.
Okay,
He
this
even bombed that one guy in the US. Do
okay.
you remember that?
No, I don't. But he
You don't
he
remember
he, he
that?
murdered so many people. No, he was actually overseas. He was in a car. I know who you're talking about. Everybody dogs
Bro,
on him.
look it up.
Everybody
I'm
keeps
going to look it
talking
up.
shit on
Obama
him.
bombed a guy in the US with a drone.
No,
I'll
the
show you.
guy ends up being transgender, and everybody started attacking him because he was transgender.
oh,
I remember that. But that was overseas because he was a journalist, I think it was. He's the one that turned on freaking these guys because they had killed an entire van full of freaking reporters with a drone
Yeah.
okay.
attack.
As I stated earlier, the US can be quite uncivilized in certain places.
You know what else I have a
Oh,
problem
well,
with?
there you go.
You know what else I had a problem with Amazon? It was this shit they keep pushing about this freaking chatbot. Okay, I am so sick of chatbots. people need to freaking talk to human beings, okay? We don't need no damn chatbots in the first place. And all of these companies are like saying, well, we need it all set up so we can have chat box. Nobody likes to freaking call anybody and get a damn chat box. The only people that helps out is these fucking corporations, and their chat box sucks. I've yet found a chat bot that actually works properly. Drone.
The Obama administration's 2011 drone execution of a U.S. citizen allegedly associated with Al Qaeda without formal charges or persecution sparked public outrage.
Who was it?
Yeah. So he killed an American citizen without a trial or anything. That he was just like, oh, it's going to be easier to just drone him.
Again, there's countries outside of the US that are more civilized.
See, I forgot about all this stuff. Like, yeah, it's already happening. You're right.
Mark says England is more civilized, dude. The worst dictator on the face of the freaking planet, dude. England.
You're still ruled by a king.
Well, no, I mean, look, if you want to put track records side by side, okay, and on all the countries, okay, and who has been the worst, I think the only countries that would come close to freaking England would be Russia, Spain, and Italy.
Russia's way better than England.
The US has never done anything bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. If you believe that, you go ahead and keep believing that, Mark Edworthy. We've only had 200 years, though. You got to understand that. So.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? So you've got to look at it on a historical level, okay? Now, so the only countries that I can compare to England would be freaking Russia, Spain, and Italy. Now,
how is Russia similar to England?
The brutality among themselves, like they freaking are horrible, dude. They freaking do not like each other whatsoever. And this goes back even when they were an empire, whenever it was the Tsar and all of them. Like, the Tsars actually, their whole job was trying to stay alive because their family members were always trying to kill them.
Yeah, but they're no longer there.
Right, and I'm just telling you, and it's been that way. Like, they have...
Well, I mean, that's the case with any dynasty, really. Like, there's always infighting and power struggles and stuff like that.
Not like Russia, dude. Russia kills each other, dude.
Well, Russians are just tough people. I don't think they're necessarily...
The wretched.
I don't know. I get along with Russians pretty well. They seem alright to me.
I'm talking about all of it. Okay, not just
what,
on a
person.
No, not on a person, not just on personal levels. I'm saying, like, their history is very brutal. It's very...
Yeah, but, every country has a brutal history. Come on, show me one that doesn't.
The United States, we actually have...
Fuck off. You guys slaughtered all the Indians when you got there.
We have...
It was brutal in the cowboy days.
We have the greatest country in the world. Like, everybody...
Well, that's what the TV tells us.
Everybody knows.
What do you mean, greatest?
We are the greatest nation
define the word
in the world. Like,
again,
didn't you guys give up your republic?
Like, the best country that was ever created, that ever was and ever will be.
Define the word best.
Yeah, but then you guys got hooked on TikTok and fast food, and now you've given away all your freedoms.
Well, not TikTok. Not TikTok. We're getting rid of that. We can't allow those Chinese in here to...
It's too late. It's too late. Damage has been done.
So, let me see here. Ocean water. You guys hear about the ocean water color changing?
Give me 2 seconds. I just need to.
What color is it changing into?
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, I'll I'll put it up here real quick, and then
Last time I went to the beach, it seemed fine to me.
now, according to this, the water is changing.
It's probably just algae bloom or something like that.
Ocean water is changing colors, getting warmer. Study. Now it says shade of colors are deepening in ocean waters, where water is getting greener in the polar regions and turning bluer at the equator. The change that could have an effect on fisheries, according to new released studies. The changing colors indicate that concentrations of chlorophyll in the blue water of the tropics and subtropics are declining while simultaneously increasing in the green colored ocean waters at the Earth's poles, the author explains in the paper published Thursday in Science Journal. Chlorophyll is the green pigment that gives things like plants and algae their color. In the ocean, chlorophyll concentrations are a measure of phytoplankton, or microscopic plants that are the base of the ocean food chain and convert sunlight into energy through photosynthesis. Now, this is the first time that we say, okay, if we look at our oceans globally, we would see we have high chlorophyll concentration in the north high latitudes, but we have low chlorophyll concentrations in the subtropical and tropical regions, Dr. Hypeg Zoe said. Zoe is the first author of the study and a postdoctorate researcher who worked with Dr. Nicholas Kessar, a professor of biochemistry at Duke University, Nicholas School of the Environment, and Dr. Susan Lazier, a professor of earth and atmospheric science at Georgia Tech. Why is this happening? Will take further investigation, as does how it may impact coastal fisheries. For this,
Sounds like a good thing to me. There's lots of animals that survive off plankton, like, krill, for example, and whales eat krill. Filter feeders, like, clams and stuff like that, sea sponges. So generally, when things get warmer, it's better for life. Yeah, I don't know what all the hubbub is about.
see, this is the thing that bugs me, and I always bring this up because a lot of people aren't aware of this. Engineers
How
use it too.
how how tainted are these university professors?
How tainted?
How politically tainted are they?
I don't know.
Extremely tainted.
I never.
Remember the left reading sort of concepts of a lot of of a lot of academics.
Well, this see, that's the thing. I call them globalists. I call them global war, in, environmental scientists is what I call them, and they're so full of shit. Most of them are like they don't.
There's a lot of them that do get funded by the globalists, and they have that globalist agenda. The whole climate change agenda has been sold to us so that they can tax us more.
Well, see, this right here kind of brings out something I've been saying about it, about alchemy being used in science. Engineers still use it, and they try to say that it's just this poppycock. People don't use alchemy anymore. No, they do use alchemy. They still use it. Alchemy is used built for building dams. You know what I'm saying? Um,
You mean
What do
chemistry?
you mean exactly by alchemy?
no, actual
Yeah,
alchemy. Now,
What's
define
your
define
definition of alchemy?
define the word alchemy.
modern alchemy today is this part right here where I was talking about shades of colors. Okay, now they have this new environmental scientists use alchemy in this way. They talk about shades of color. They turn the satellites to face the Earth so that they could see the shades of the clouds and how bright they are and how dark they are, and that's a form of alchemy right there. And it's just like right
No,
here.
it's a form of
But
chemistry.
you just use the definition as the word.
Yeah.
Like you said,
you,
change
you made
color.
a
What do
you made
like
a
a change of
circular
color
argument
is
there.
alchemy.
The shades of color, okay, when it comes to the ocean's water is the same way as what I was talking about right there, okay? Now, you in alchemy you have the color black, which is what is it? Al something like that. I gotta pull that. But it's and then hold up, the alchemy color.
But you know, the traditional definition of alchemy was like transmutation of elements. So turning lead into gold, for example. That was one example of it. But
See, you,
others would say it also had like a metaphysical component, which was transmuting your internal base metals, which is your lower frequency vibrations to higher frequency
no,
vibrations.
no, hold
So,
on. See, you have that Magnus Opus is what it was, and black is Negredo. Okay, white is Albedo, yellow is Trinitas, and red is Rubedo.
Libido. Yeah.
Rubedo, yeah. You see, and that's the same stuff that they're using today. They're actually using freaking alchemy in a lot of this stuff, and that's what really sticks out to me when I.
Again, alchemy is just another in this context. It's just another word for chemistry.
No,
Yeah, that's
no,
right.
no.
And
Chemistry doesn't deal with colors.
because you got to remember
Can do,
where those
can
color
do.
words come from is like the medieval alchemists were different from the ancient alchemists, right? So they were trying to recreate alchemy because they were trying to figure out how to turn lead into gold. And the way they did that was this is before chemistry officially existed. So they were basically trying stuff out, boiling different rocks and like smashing things and like mixing them together, different metals and like sometimes the concoction would turn black, sometimes it would turn red, sometimes it would turn into different, and like they interpreted in their like esoteric kind of way without understanding chemistry. And yeah, it's really interesting actually to read those medieval alchemist texts because like you can actually kind of reverse engineer now what they actually ended up doing. But yeah, it's I
Now,
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
the changing of colors, okay, is the thing that gets me. Now that's where it kind of fades from alchemy into the now you got me messed up. The chemistry, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
where
Changing, adding one pigment to another pigment and changing the color or changing the pigment. It's just a form of chemistry, isn't it?
well, there's
You're a wizard,
chemistry.
Mark.
There's chemistry, and
Right?
then there's alchemy.
You're a wizard, Harry.
If I pot of red paint and a pot of blue paint, I could mix them together and make brown. Wow, that must be magic.
Now,
But
understand,
it is.
they're doing the same shit with clouds too, though. You see what I mean? Not just water, but they're also doing this with clouds using satellites to keep track of freaking the shades of color of these clouds.
All
Um,
right, I just disagree with your usage of the word.
You mean like cloud seeding?
Better be careful, man. I haven't said Nazi one time tonight, dude.
I can give you an example of like real legit modern day alchemy. It's these guys in Australia that invented the thunderstorm generator, and like they basically developed this circular type of exhaust pipe that goes onto an engine, and it sucks air through like this bubbler machine that has a UV light in it, and it creates these they call them like novel energy components, which are basically little plasma balls, like little microscopic plasma balls, and it sucks it into the engine, and it actually converts the exhaust fumes into just clean air by actually transmuting the elements of the carbon into oxygen and other elements like gold. Like seriously, and they found this stuff on the inside of the engines. They found gold particles from running this machine, and it improves efficiency by something like 20% or 30% on an engine, and it also completely eliminates exhaust fumes to the point where it's like parts per billion or something like that of like carbon. So once we actually start employing this kind of technology, the whole climate like debate is over, in my opinion, like human caused climate change or whatever. So yeah, that's one type of alchemy.
Again, we call it science rather than alchemy.
Well, yeah,
Alchemy is something that you can explain. You cannot explain, whereas chemistry, science is something they can.
well, some
The
people argue the most useful form of alchemy is internal alchemy, where you actually like transmute your own beliefs and your own yeah emotions and things within yourself. But anyway, I feel like we're getting off topic. What are we talking about?
We're talking about alchemy and environmental science.
Okay.
Again, I disagree with your usage of the word alchemy.
Now,
So are you worried about the color of the
no,
ocean changing?
no, I find it messed up that these people are calling themselves scientists and they're looking at clouds and the color of water and saying that this is a problem. You know, I think that they need to take their jobs a little bit more serious, considering that they're being paid by people who are giving donations to them because they believe that the shit that
Maybe they get
Well,
paid to push this
that's
argument.
I think it's more useful for them to just give us the raw data. Like, I think that's useful for those climate scientists to do, is like collect the data, give it to us, and let the population decide what it means. Like once scientists start interpreting data, and like and then government bureaucrats forming policies based on those interpretations, that's a recipe for corruption. Yeah. So that's my take on it.
it's just, to me, that's one thing that really sticks out to me. And then like when it comes to a lot of the stuff they're talking about here, I agree with you on the fact that this is actually good when it comes to like plant food for algae, stuff like that. And a lot of the evidence they keep throwing out like this is just basic freaking nonsense. Like they've been talking about islands that are sinking and that people have to be evacuated and shit. You know what I mean? Like how many islands have had that happen for the last
Well,
300
the
years?
ocean levels will rise, make
All
no
right.
mistake. But like, here's the thing: the climate is changing. If that's the question, there's no debate. The climate's always been changing. It has always changed, and it always will be changing. The thing is, when you look at the historical like ice core data and stuff like that, like sediment data, you'll see like the amount of change we're undergoing right now is minuscule compared to the past. You know, like when you're on the edge of an ice age, we're talking about like 10 to 20 degree changes in a few hundred years. And right now we're talking about, zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.5 of a degree change over our lifetime. So I don't think it's anything to like panic about. It's just something we need to adapt to as it happens, because like in the end, the planet's going to change however it wants to change, and we're going to just have to adapt to it. That's my take on it.
Well, see, it goes on further with this, and this is the reason why alchemy sticks out even more, is because it says here there's still a lot of limitations by using satellite data to observe the coastal change of phytoplankton, because in the coastal border, the sediments of no the sediments, a lot of minerals, they just come to the surface of the ocean, and that makes it difficult for the satellite to detect whether it is a phytoplankton, is whether it's the phytoplankton's blooms or something else, Zao said. But we are thinking these areas are very important. So they're going off of observation. It's not the actual chemicals, okay? They're saying, okay, it's this color, this is what it is. Okay? And this goes back to the freaking colors of alchemy, okay? When it comes to freaking alchemy, they had freaking Negredo, Albedo, Sinitrus, or whatever, however that says, and then Rubedo. You know what I mean? And that's how they did all that. They did it by the coloring, the observation
Yeah.
of the colors.
That's right.
And each color actually has a meaning. Okay, like
Yeah.
black doesn't just mean black. Like there's frequency for Negredo. There's actually different definitions. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, they interpreted it in an esoteric way back then because
Right.
they didn't understand chemistry. But nowadays, we actually can understand.
That's a form of alchemy, though. You see, that I hope that actually came. You guys actually heard me though, right?
Like back then, they wouldn't have known what phytoplankton was, for example.
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean,
There
alchemy.
were more nowadays.
I would say alchemy didn't really fade out until maybe the 1800s, to be honest. That was probably during the middle 1800s.
Well, there's still alchemists. There's still people that practice old school alchemy. You know?
Well, I mean, as like
Think so.
100% belief. You know what I'm saying? Like a major.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, once chemistry was sort of established, everyone sort of migrated to that.
And that
Sure.
goes back to the secret school, the Royal Society in Mark Edworthy's country, England, and their secret esoteric cults of Satan.
Okay.
You remember them, don't you? You know about the Royal Society, right?
Yeah, I'm aware.
You know about their esoteric origins, don't you?
Yeah, I'm aware. But doesn't mean that you've got Satanists in there now, or say I don't know.
Don't be so naive, Mark.
You know they're in there. They're in there somewhere.
They're in there. They're in there for sure.
They're in
Prince-
there.
Yeah, but
Prince Charles is a blood
what's
drinking
this
vampire for sure.
But what's the practical usage?
The practical usage for satanic scientists? Are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah.
What's the use? You get a scientist who wants freaking Satan to rule the world in hell and brimstone, okay? And you turn around and you make them create freaking these horrible, evil things that freaking are going to hurt other people.
Yeah, that's already happening.
Right.
For sure.
That makes more sense to me than what most of the nonsense
Yeah,
people are
but they
trying to
aren't
say
using
today.
alchemy to do this.
Well, I'm not
They're
accusing.
using fine
I'm not.
words.
I'm not accusing alchemists of doing that. Alchemists are actually the good guys. Like most of history shows that, like all of these empires and these countries were very, very horrible to alchemists and people who practiced the esoteric beliefs, because like they held on to old, what people would consider pagan ideas, okay, and they were secret for a reason because they had to go into hiding. Because if they didn't, they would have been killed by the Christians. You know what I mean? And then the Muslims did it too back over in the Middle East. So you had a lot of alchemists and a lot of esoterics who were underground. They couldn't come up out of hiding because they would be persecuted and murdered. You know, so that's the way I've seen these things take place in history. So if anything, your country was the evil Satanists that were out to kill people. Them and the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Blame
They're all over the
Spain.
world now.
Look at Spain. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that they were, what were they? They were the Jesuits, weren't they?
That did what?
Weren't they the ones out of Spain, or were they the Black Church?
I think
I
the Jesuits came from the Vatican originally.
Yeah, I
Society.
was thinking on the grounds of Thomas Torquemada's.
Now the Black Pope and everything. What sect was that?
Yeah, that's Jesuits. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Spanish. That's the Spanish.
Let me find out.
Because what's her face? She ended up marrying the guy in Hungary, I think. What was it? Where? Because I knew the Holy Roman Empire was
So
split.
the Jesuits are called the Society of Jesus and was founded in 1540 by Saint Ignatius of Loyola, and his companions with the approval of Pope Paul III. The order originated from 6 student companions. Blah 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 blah. Initially, their project was to go as missionaries to Palestine. But due to the war, instead they put themselves in service of Pope Paul III. So yeah, they're from the Vatican originally, but they get sent out all over the place as missionaries. And they were like the early intelligence arm of the Vatican.
CIA.
Yeah,
The
because
CIA.
they swear an oath to do whatever it takes to bring about God's kingdom, including killing people secretly.
I would have.
They're
A
fanatic.
lot of religions have done that. I mean,
We're
have
focusing.
you read the Quran?
We're focusing on the Christians today, though. We don't care about the Quran. We're all about
I'd like to read it.
those
I haven't
evil.
read it yet.
No, I actually wanted to, but the only thing is it's really, really crazy. Like you think it's
It's not
hard.
crazier than the Bible.
That's what I'm getting ready to say. I'm like, you think the Bible is crazy, okay? You take a look at freaking the Quran, and it's like 5 times more methodical. Like everything is in depth, okay? Like
Oh yeah, it's like the Bible but more detailed. For sure.
it's insane. It would drive you crazy.
No, I've read little bits and pieces. I actually love it. It's kind of like when when you watch a Star Wars movie or something, but then you read the book and there's just like way more detail in there and backstory and stuff. So it has a lot of backstory of stuff that's in the Bible and like
Okay.
other perspectives and stuff. It's really
Okay.
cool.
I'm not comparing the Quran to freaking Star Wars. That's just not
No.
happening, dude. I'm
Why
not.
not?
That
And besides, you could be arrested in your country for hate speech or something for saying that.
Well, it has a lot of the same elements.
You said it, I didn't.
well, I mean, who would be Allah? That's
Yahweh.
no in Star Wars.
Oh, well, Palpatine.
Be careful because I can see this. This.
Well, because like the
line
God of the
container
Bible
that
is really
being-
like an alien, technically, because like he comes from the heavens, He comes down and like dictates what goes on like an emperor kind of thing. And yeah, so to me, and he's not always good because he's like killing people left, right, and center, and all this stuff. So
So you're saying he's
I'd
the
say
emperor?
probably closer to Palpatine.
So you're saying that Allah or God basically is freaking the emperor?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. So with
Mm.
with that being said, what's this deal with Karen Reed? Have you guys heard anything on that?
It
Uh,
didn't look like a very interesting story to me. It looked like a local newspaper thing
Dude,
that
this is
was
I don't
this
know. I haven't
this
heard about it.
this has been like on international news and shit, dude. This is
asset.
yes, it has. It's been all over the
Well,
place
why is this the first time I've heard about this?
because you don't watch the news, dude. She
Okay.
she she was found not guilty of murdering a Boston police officer who was her boyfriend. And Karen Reed is a U.S. woman. She is charged with running over her police officer boyfriend and leaving him for dead in a snowbank. And she has been found not guilty of second-degree murder in a case that grip true crime fans nationwide. Now, the jury also found Miss Reed, 44, not guilty of vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated and leaving the scene of the collision in January of 2022. But she was
Okay.
convicted. But she was convicted of operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol. Okay,
Okay.
So she
So
just basically claimed she was drunk.
on the actual charge of murder, she was proven innocent.
dude, this woman freaking got drunk and freaking
Irrelevant. On the
oh, oh,
charge of murder, she was proven innocent.
she even got not guilty for vehicular manslaughter, dude. She was
Okay.
intoxicated. She ran this dude over with a freaking vehicle, left him
And
in
then she
a
panicked and
snowbank.
fled the scene.
Okay, and
Yeah, that's yeah. It's either manslaughter or murder for sure.
I mean, that is insane. Like, and I don't understand how she could have gotten out of this. You know
Well,
what I mean?
have you read the transcript?
Now I seen a little bit of the freaking court hearings towards the end of it, right whenever they were given the thing, but I never really got into it. You know what I'm saying? I
The
didn't.
thing is, she would have definitely known she hit someone, but then she would have panicked and fled the scene. And
Maybe.
that's the bad part, in my opinion. Is like she could have stopped and tried
Again,
to
you are
help.
making an assumption there.
Well, I could just see it happening.
Well, yeah,
That's
you're making an
typical.
assumption. Legal cases are not based upon assumptions; they're based upon facts.
Yeah,
Now,
well, of course, I don't know this case, but just from a gut feeling, that sounds about right.
now
Because
her
if you hit
Gut
someone, you don't
feeling,
know it.
stuttering cases.
now her July the 2024 trial stemmed from the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, uh, and it collapsed after the jury was unable to reach a verdict. She again pled not guilty in the retrial, with her lawyers arguing she was being framed for Mr. O'Keefe's death. Prosecutors and Mrs. Reed's attorney agreed to a 1-year probation order for the intoxication charge. It means she will avoid prison time. As the verdict was read out loud, cheers could be heard from outside the Massachusetts court, where a large crowd had gathered, many wearing pink to show support for Miss Reed. She hugged her defense attorney and cried. Now, this is where it's all at. You see what I mean? You get a whole freaking bunch of supporters out there dressed in pink cheering her on. Free Mrs. Reed.
You get a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand supporters. Wow, whoopie do. Stop, stop the pressers. Jesus, it's a non-story.
No, what happened was is she got off scot-free because she had a bunch of freaking.
She didn't get off scot-free.
I'm sure she did. She got public.
No, she has to have treatment.
No, 1 year
I
probation.
thought there has have alcoholic.
You know what that
treatment.
entails, don't you? It's 1 year's of probation, and you go into freaking alcohol and drug classes, and you sit and watch a movie about people getting ran over by a drunk driver.
Might work in her case.
For a year, dude. She got away with it.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, what do you think, Mr. Robot? Do you think that she got away with it?
I would have to
yeah.
review the entire court docket.
She got off lightly, let's say that.
I would have to read the entire court docket to make my own conclusions. At the moment, it sounds like the legal system has spoken.
For the first thing, like, a woman just shouldn't be driving to start with. That was our first mistake. I say women just shouldn't be driving, really.
Women shouldn't be driving. Wow. I can just got to see
here's
the
a case in point, Mark. Women are bloody savages. We can't just let them operate vehicles like this. It's ridiculous.
Now,
feminists, you know who to target when you make those comments.
Now, Miss Reed was greeted by loud cheers as she emerged from the building to thank supporters, the crowd chanting, "Free Karen Reed," and made "I love you" signs with American Sign Language. Some waved U.S. flags and said "God bless" and sang "God bless America." No one. Yeah, that's what it says, and it's on. I'm reading this from the BBC, dude.
This is all bread and circuses.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So no one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I
Really?
have.
Okay, well,
she said in a brief statement. No one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have. She said in a brief statement. Now, she freaking ran this dude down, left him dead in a snowbank.
Well, he might not have been dead. That's the thing. He might have been alive.
Yeah. According to the judgment, it doesn't sound like it.
So she ran him down and left him in a freaking snowbank. And she said, no one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have. How did she fight for justice for him, dude? She's the one that killed him.
Again, I would have to read the docket. Review the docket. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now,
I mean, I'm only getting half the story.
You're getting the best half.
Yeah, but there's always two halves.
Good point.
Now, because of this, she's also generated intense public interest, spawning a Hulu television show, several podcasts, and an upcoming Netflix documentary.
Oh my God! This is an everyday thing in the US now. Murderers are always getting tons of money.
The entire sort of mainstream media thing is just a advert. Mm-hmm. So the BBC press release they showed us earlier was just an advert.
Well, her father, William Reed, thanked all the content providers who helped spread the word. Okay.
Of course.
And out of all of them, the O'Keefe family just left the court without saying a comment, without making any comments whatsoever.
Well, best in that situation to do, isn't it?
Well, I mean, who's the real victim here? You know what I mean? It's like who was the one that was actually wanting freaking justice for, O'Keefe. It wasn't her. It wasn't her freaking father. It was freaking these
Again, I
people
would have to
who
review
left.
the entire docket. You make an assumption, sir.
Well, it was these people who left the court without saying a word who was the actual victims here. They're the ones that lost. Well, other
Yeah.
than him, he's dead. You know what I mean? But, like, they lost freaking a son because of a drunk woman who freaking ran their son down and left him dead in a
According
snowbank.
to the court, from the court summary they've already given, that's not true.
What does the court say?
Well, he said that individual was found innocent of murder or
Oh,
manslaughter.
whatever, dude. Whatever. That's that.
Well, that's that. So you're now going to just decide your
Are you
rules.
are you are
You are now going
you
to
are
overrule
are
courts.
you telling me that every court decision that's been made in the last 5 years is correct?
That's not relevant.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That is very relevant to what
You
we're
are
talking
making
about.
assumptions based on limited information,
Okay, look.
and
Uh,
you're using those assumptions to
the
determine
woman
if the court was wrong.
the woman was drunk. She hit the dude, knocked him into a snowbank, and then left, and he died.
Again, I would like to read the entire court docket.
How did she get away with it? That's the only
I would
question
like
that
to
needs to
see,
know.
again, unless you read the entire court docket, how are you going to find out?
Well, I told DK before too about doing follow-ups, and this is one of them that I am going to follow up on because this is
Okay.
very weird. This is very weird. This woman was guilty, point blank, in my opinion. Okay.
In your opinion, based upon the information you've gathered so far.
Nobody seems to disagree that she freaking ran this dude over in the snow, freaking drunk off her ass, and left him in a freaking snowbank. Nobody, not even her, dude. Okay, nobody.
Again, I would have to have a look at the court docket.
And all she got was intoxicated driving. Jeez.
That's it. She walked away from this with nothing, dude.
I bet if that was roles were reversed and it was a guy that ran over a girl, he'd be in jail for sure.
Assumptions.
Wow. Just play it out in your head, you know? I don't think there's going to be a lot of
Again,
media sympathy for a dude that does
I
that.
am not in the game of speculation.
I feel like it's a fact.
We know you're stating that your speculations are now facts. So
Yeah.
everything that comes out of your mouth, it must be true. Everything. Why are you?
Now,
according
to what I've
Things
heard, several witnesses in the case said that the outcome was devastating, a devastating miscarriage of justice, okay? And their statement also said that they lament the cruel reality that this prosecution has infected by lies and conspiracy theories spread by Karen Reed, her defense team, and some in the media. Okay?
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So can the prosecution appeal the judgment?
Now, Aiden Turtleboy Kearney, a blogger who has published the case, told NBC 10 local news that the verdict was a surreal, emotional experience. To finally hear those words, not guilty, I have been dreaming about this. It was a happy ending. Okay. That's some of the crazy shit that's going on there. Now they've got people. They've got people.
People will have their own conclusions. Everybody will have their own thoughts about it, but that's not relevant.
Now,
Again, the facts and solely the facts. are the only relevant thing.
Now, the messed up part about Kearney is Kearney himself faces several charges of witness intimidation, which, of course, he denies. You see?
Okay.
So he's sitting there praising this girl who freaking killed her freaking boyfriend, left him dead.
I see. You say charges, so none of them have been proven.
Not yet.
So again, they are just allegations. Therefore, you shouldn't make rulings on allegations alone.
Now, the thing about him, though, that was so weird is like with his writing, he frequently always freaking questions the investigation about Mr. O'Keefe and his death. And not only does he do that, he also confronts witnesses about the case. So he'll go up to people who are witnesses, actual witnesses, or he did, and he would actually confront them and harass them about it.
Again, allegations. He may have done. Again, you are innocent until proven guilty beyond all shadow of a doubt, of a reasonable doubt.
Oh,
That's how the westernized legal system works. That's one basic tenets of the westernized legal system.
well, I mean, I think it could be because of her background too, because she was a professor at
Again,
and then
you're making speculations.
she was also involved in like equity analysis, and she was involved in fidelity investments and all that before she got into any trouble. You know what I mean? So like she had a lot of clout, had a lot of people freaking that she could have pay her way out of it and get her out of trouble.
Maybe. But where's your evidence for this?
I would almost bet that freaking my evidence is in
Where
her
is your
freaking.
evidence?
It's in her
Again,
freaking bank account, buddy. It's in her. I guarantee you.
until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So you have to prove this.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, freaking, I would almost bet that this is going to come out in the new episodes that are coming out in the documentary on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. Don't
Okay.
miss it. Don't miss it.
Wherever. Get a Netflix subscription. Are we being sponsored by Netflix now?
Well, probably if things work out. Now, in closing arguments, state prosecution Hank Brennett told the court Miss Reed was drunk driving when enraged by their faltering relationship. She backed into Mr. O'Keefe at the home of a fellow officer. No. She backed into Mr. O'Keefe at the home of a fellow officer in the Boston area. He alleged she left him to die during a snowstorm. Mr. O'Keefe. No. He alleged she left him to die during a snowstorm. I think that was a typo.
Okay, so what's that allegation proven in the court trial?
Now, Mr. O'Keefe, who died at the age of 46, had spent 16 years with the Boston Police Department.
What relevance is that?
Miss Reed's attorney contended that O'Keefe was instead beaten inside the home. Was beaten inside the home, bitten by a dog, and dumped in the snow. Okay, so Mrs. O'Keefe's attorney said that O'Keefe was instead beaten inside the home, bitten by a dog, and dumped in the snow. They argued that Miss Reed was the victim of an elaborate plot by local police to frame her. Yet, The prosecution was the freaking conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, you stated alleged this, alleged that. Again, how much of that was proven?
Well, apparently the jury didn't find it all agreeable because, like, they deliberated for 4 days and their verdict was delivered after 4 days. Now, the court filings show the jury members' names, but they weren't made public to anybody yet, I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think that generally happens anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
after the court case has settled down and everything, and the case is closed here in the United States, they let them know, unless unless it involves like a kid or something. You know what I mean? They're not gonna.
Well, you wouldn't have a kid on the jury.
No, I mean, like, if it was a court case for a juvenile, they don't divulge names in the court documents and stuff here in the United States.
Yeah, but we're just talking about jury members, so that wouldn't be relevant.
Okay, so hold on a minute. Now, Thomas Pascal said that he would be interested in coming in, but I did not get that in time. I told him to click on the link if he wants to come in. Freaking, for me, I just, I don't know. I see that's a hairball of ass when it comes to that story. That woman is, that
Guilty as hell.
well, yeah,
Again, I disagree, and the court has disagreed with you.
I don't think they have. I just don't. I think they were bought and paid for by the intellectuals within the college and educational system, because they're a bunch of woke bastards. Everybody sat out there in their freaking pink shirts and everything, saying, "Oh, we love you." You know what I mean? It's probably some female woke freaking feminist activist that was involved in. I mean, because, dude, seriously, I mean, how can you look at that and not say, freaking, look, you're guilty? Shut your mouth, go to prison, take it up the butt.
I don't think. No, the Western legal system doesn't work like that. I can't just go on saying, I believe you killed JFK, therefore you must be guilty.
Well, some people would tell you that's true.
Or you killed JFK.
Some people would say that. I mean, I'm not saying that I did or I didn't, but, you know, some people would say that. So,
Roger does like to hang out on the grassy knolls, so I know that much.
now, Jaffe asked what state they all had to relocate to, and I will pull that information up to kind of.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned a few.
Yeah, I mentioned it. The U.S. teams were told to move to main hubs in Seattle, Washington, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Jaffe. And the link is posted above that if you want to come in and talk about it. So we do have that posted in there. But I figured I'd let you know. And it looks like we freaking actually got some responses here. I answered them. I answered Jaffe, and on Teams, he's got his WPRPN thing on there. And then Thomas Pascal asked me on WPRPN to it said he was interested in coming in. That was at 6:55 my time. That was like an hour ago, so I missed him most likely.
Did the guy aware of that person?
Well, he's been on Jaffe's show. He's a pretty cool guy.
Okay, I'm not sure if I've met him.
Well, you
So-
probably have Comatose when you heard him, because by the time you get on Jaffe's show, you're pretty out of it already. You know what I mean? Because what he starts at 10 o'clock my time, so I know that's what 3 o'clock yours, 3 or 4.
About 4 a.m. my time.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what do you think, Miss Robot? You think this woman is a guilty person? That
guilty by
I-
popular demand.
I actually agree with Mark here. I think she should go through the legal system. But if we didn't have a legal system, hell yeah, I'd just chuck her straight in jail
Okay.
or hang.
I think.
Yeah, you see many people get hung.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that you guys are falling into a trap that most men fall for, and you know what I mean. The fact, I mean, she's a pretty good looking chick. You know what I mean?
You see?
Yeah,
Well, I haven't
Oh,
even
really?
looked at her in
Yeah,
the
Well, you didn't tell me that, Roger.
Don't
Yeah,
don't
did you even
That
lie.
changes everything.
I don't
You dirty
If
dog.
she's hot, just let her go. Like we can't
I
can't be putting the hot ones away.
Well, if you're gonna put her away, you better be filming it. You know what I mean? It's like everybody loves a good
Keep her
freaking
out so I can put it away.
I wouldn't call her.
Oh, back in her.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call her overly attractive, but
It's not ugly.
Oh well, fuck! I can't trust Roger's opinion.
Murder in the second
On
degree.
this.
What say you is the
Well, no, I actually do have a good taste in women.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But let me see if I can pull up the verdict for the thing that came out on here. I just got to figure out where Rumble Studios is. I got lost. But here we go. I'll put that up.
murder in the second degree? What say you is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. So say you, Mr. Foreman. So say you. No. Do you agree? Yes. Do all of you agree? Yes. Thank you. 002. What say you is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty? Not guilty. Is not guilty or guilty of that charge or any lesser included charge? Thank you. Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater.
A lot of spectators.
So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? 003. What say you is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records that you upon your oath say the defendant on 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating under the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
So that woman just gets pissed and runs over people.
Yeah.
Without these amazing supporters who have supported me and
well,
my
we don't
team
need to listen to her speak.
and more
Why not? Why not? You're a supporter. You need to listen to her. You think she's
I
innocent.
didn't tell supported or didn't support.
I'm getting rid of it. Give me time.
She looks like a killer.
She does. She does, dude. She looks like a killer.
So
You know how?
we assuming somebody's innocent and or guilty based on the looks. No.
You know,
Well, you can tell.
you can tell by their lips especially.
Oh,
The lips is
Jesus.
the giveaway. Like when they have,
Really.
And too much makeup. Too much makeup.
you know,
She's covering something up there.
usually you look at their eyeballs first, and then you look at their lips, and then like when they have that like starry-eyed look, like they're looking off into frickin' somewhere, and you don't know where they're looking, but they're looking at you. That means they're crazy. And then their lips, how they frickin' talk and how they use their lip expressions. You can always tell when a woman's frickin' crazy and a murderer.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
It's
So she is a murderer because you assume that she's crazy.
Yes.
It's not an assumption, Mark. It's a deduction.
Whether assumption, deduction, either. Yeah. I'm glad that we've got you not a judge. Neither of you are judges.
Not yet.
Not
But
yet.
I aim to be one day.
I'm a judge every day of my life, dude. It you know what, when I wake up and I go outside, I look up at the sky, and when I see that sky, I have to judge if it's going to be a rainy day or if it's going to be a sunny day.
Okay.
I think that's going to be Roger's next podcast show.
What's the weather
Judge
today?
Roger.
Judge Roger. I need to have some good cases, though, something that I can actually work on. Now,
We should deliberate over like internet squabbles.
well, see,
Resolve internet troubles.
everybody else is jumping on board this P. Diddy thing. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I wanted to stay away from it because freaking I'm a little bit more mature than all that. You know what I mean? I mean, Mr. Edworthy freaking agrees with me that we should stay away from P. Diddy. You know what I mean? Now, if you have anything that you want to say about that, you can. But I'm pretty sure I can.
Well, you can tell he was guilty just based on the amount of baby oil he had. I mean, anyone with that much baby oil is clearly guilty.
Well,
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have too much of a single product, you must be guilty.
Well,
Google
baby
Mr.
oil,
Robot.
dude. Hey, but I do have to say one cool thing. This is the coolest thing that's come out of freaking P. Diddy trial. Okay. I have not heard freaking black women on the freaking news say freak off as many times as what I have been hearing. It is so freaking cool to hear freaking like sophisticated black women saying freak offs. You know what I mean? It's like sexy as hell,
It's pretty
dude.
funny.
I'm like, dude, did she just freaking say that? It's like you're an ebony chick saying freak off. You know what I mean? In a suit and shit. I'm like, that's so hot.
I would never go to his freak offs.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if it was like a freaking rap song or something like that, you know what I mean? Or a rap artist talking about saying freak off, but you're hearing freaking prosecuting attorneys literally saying the word
What's
freak
crazy
off.
to me is like the amount of like famous people he got to go to these freak offs. Like Obama was there, Prince Harry was there.
It's like,
Lots of like people you wouldn't expect.
freak off. So we have come to 3.5 hours. I think we better sew this up unless you guys have anything else you want to say.
No, not particularly, but thanks for everything.
Now, before we end, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, Mr. Robot.
Come check out my music on Rumble under Hacker Radio, and I plan on doing some more deep dives on various topics from ancient history to conspiracies on deep dive research, also on Rumble.
Just to let everybody know, the first half an hour that we had on here, all that music was created by Mr. Robot. If you want to find out more about what he does, you can check him out on that Hacker Radio. So, what about you, Mr. Edworthy?
I'm just really on minds.com, so minds.com/Medworthy.
Right.
Really?
And you can find me on Rumble, X, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, D Live. On X, I am Roger Hansen at ROGLOL. And wait, Roger or ROGLOL 1973. That's usually the easiest way for me to do that. On Twitch, I am Infamous 1969. You can find me there as well. And I believe on Kick and D Live both, I go by Roger_Hansen. Not quite sure on that one. Now, usually I don't put Untethered on as a live stream on YouTube, but I do have the Praetorian on YouTube as well as on Rumble. That's where this is being streamed for, on those where if you can't catch, or if you haven't caught all of the stream, you can catch it again on the playlist that we have. Plus, I always make 15-minute videos to go after this, where you guys can, who don't like watching full 3-hour videos, can watch 15-minute segments at a time. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for being here. This is for this topic, for this talking point, for the entertainment part. This is the last time for the year. We'll come back next year and hopefully we'll have this and maybe some better content, because we just really suck at having good content when it comes to entertainment. We don't really want to talk about the baby oil and P. Diddy and all that stuff. We want to talk about seriously cool stuff when it comes to current events. But this is the last one. The next one is going to be next week, and that's purely political. That's where shit's going to get crazy, because you guys know what's been going on, and we all know what's going on. You know, when me and Mr. Robot and Mark start talking about it, I'm going to call somebody a freaking Nazi.
We're going to be connecting the dots and going deep on these things, so join in.
Yeah, making assumptions.
We're going to be going real deep, too. I'm talking real deep.
Like freak off deep.
Like freak off deep. That's right. So
those probes where they warmed up.
That's right. So if you liked what you've seen and heard today, man, like, subscribe, share, make comments, give feedback. We'd love to hear what you have to say in the comment section. It's cool to say stuff in the chat sections, but we really do enjoy the comment sections, because we're freaking into the comments. We like to have conversations with people, and it gets really freaking lonely when the only messages or the comments you get is from a bunch of bots that want to sell you subscribers. So it's good to hear from people who let us know you're there. And with that, I say good night, and I hope you guys have a good day, good night, whatever time of the day it is for you, and we will talk later.